So when we decided to do this conference, and this is one of the things I want to ask the panelists about, years ago, offensive was king, right? Like if you go to a conference, it was hacking everything. It was hacking that fridge. It was hacking the toaster. It was hacking tractors. It was hacking like biometric stuff. It was crazy. Everything was hacking everywhere, 0 days, exploits. And then the pendulum started coming back towards the blue team. And we have some blue team people here, and we love them as well. And it's been kind of stuck on the blue team for a while. And that may or may not be a bad thing. It may or may not be a good thing. Once again, that's what we're going to talk about. But I thought it would be cool if we actually had a purely offensive con online where we could try to kickstart some offensive things. And one of the main reasons why I like to do this is I'm starting to see customers again say things like Silence or CrowdStrike will stop all attacks. Or look, we have 100% coverage on the MITRE attack technique matrix and we stop everything. And those are all myths and we need to dispel them, because if we allow the vendors to completely define things in terms of defense, in terms of their products and their product coverage, we're all screwed. So one of the things I like to say is things are only fragile till they break, and breaking things makes things stronger. And that's the reason why we need offensive people in the community.
So what we've got going for this first round here is a tag team match. A tag team match, you may be familiar, is two teams. So in this case, Randy, who are our two teams?
Oh, well, we got the cyber curmudgeons over here. These are folks with some serious experience in the field. They've been out there. They've been instructors. They've been put in headlocks by networks. They've had IR and incident response exercises where they got to throw fists. So they're going to answer some questions for us. And over on the other side, we got pure energy. These are our up-and-comers. These are our visionaries. They are going to be the leaders of the new hacking order. And we're going to bring them some questions they can debate about, some questions they might not even know what's coming. No, you know what? They don't know what's coming. So are you panelists ready to introduce yourselves and get into the questions?
I think we know who the curmudgeons are and who the
kids get on my mind.
I'm totally on the up-and-comers team, right?
No.
This framing was not communicated to participants prior to now.
I didn't. It wasn't framed to me as like, we need old people on the panel. Can you be an old dude?
First off,
I saw it.
Cyber curmudgeons.
Curmudgeons.
You don't want to be grumpy, brother. I was born an old grumpy hacker that went into the ring.
And you don't have to be sponsored by an energy drink company to be up and coming.
That's true. That's true. All right, let's go.
However, most of us are sponsored by energy drinks. So
and why don't we go with our cyber curmudgeons? John, everybody probably knows who you are, but just in case, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is John Strand. I own Black Hills Information Security and Antisyphon Security Training. And that's all I've got to say about that.
No, what's your special move, John?
My special move is PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Yeah. Right in the eyes.
We've seen that one before. It's quite brutal.
Oh, yeah. Jake Williams.
Hey, I'm Jake. I do security stuff and currently independent, but doing a little bit of work over at Ions. And my special move is bringing 30-year-old cereal to Deadwood this year so we can raise charity while Mr. Strand tries some awesome cereal from 1989. We did it at ShmooCon. It was great. John's going to love it.
Yeah.
I've
got Spider-Man cereal from 1991 coming. If you the 89 Batman cereal.
I actually know what that 89 Batman cereal tastes like because I had it in 89 and it was horrible then. So
it's worse now. I assure you.
If it's properly aged, it's good. All right, excellent. We're gonna go down to the corner, Mr. Oh wait, sorry, Jake. What's your special move?
Oh no, that was my special move.
Special
move is just eating cereal in the ring. He's just spilling that milk everywhere. He's just getting it all over the place.
It's to cram cereal into the roof of the person's mouth so it get all cut up and confused. All right, very good. Hal Pomerantz.
Hey, I'm Hal Pomerantz. I was doing Unix before John was even out of diapers. And my special move is, getting you onto that Linux command line and letting you know who's boss.
All right. So doing Linux. Doing Linux for like the last 4 or 5 years. Got it. Excellent. What's your special move?
Getting you onto that Linux command line.
Linux. Yeah.
You're on a route.
Okay. So it's more of a bash maneuver.
Exactly.
I think it actually astounds participants with what you can do. They're sitting there in the ring at the Linux command line. They don't know what to do, but someone does.
I love it. I once saw how give a presentation. I think it was one of the first command line dojos where the description of it was come and it was the equivalent of come and try to test me. And it was the evil Pi. Was it Pi Mei from Kill Bill?
Exactly. With your pathetic crane technique.
And there was like 150 people in the room, and there was a crap ton of like Linux aficionados. Like, I got this guy on lockdown. I've got questions he won't be able to answer. It didn't go well for them. So I have literally seen Hal take on a room of 150 people and kick their ass on the Linux command line. So there you go.
Nice.
Excellent. Mr. Joff.
Hi, I'm Joff. I started working for John when Black Hills was just this big. This big. I do things like pen testing and writing malware and things. And I tell you something, you haven't lived, because like Hal and I have lived, because I'll just admit it, I'm one of the old guys. You haven't lived until you've booted up a Sun Solaris system, lost your access to VI, and had to edit the FS tab using SED or ED to get that mother thing back up and running. So what's my special move? My special move is running over koalas without killing them.
Oh,
What?
You're saying you bring an
Coincidentally,
entire
not the most
koala.
horrific thing we've talked about this morning so far.
You bring an
I
endangered
thought it was
species into the ring. There's just an endangered koala in the ring. Then you approach the koala with your Volkswagen from 1972.
That's
stop.
right.
Actually, before the Volkswagen. However,
It was a 69 Volkswagen with no front brakes. You've got to put it in context.
The thing is, the opponent is actually in front of the koala, and they get just mowed down.
The koala is angered by being hit, but not killed, so therefore it attacks.
Yeah.
Enraged koala attack.
Subsequently, the Australian government threw me out. So where did I come? Right here to the United States, where
The penal colony of the penal colony.
Yeah.
So, now, little hackmaniacs out there, I've seen Joff use this move. It's incredible, right? He used it back in 1994 against Jake the Snake Roberts. It turns out Jake Snake only eats grass-fed koalas. Completely threw him off his game.
It went badly.
All right, let's go to the other side here. We've got our pure energy. Noah, tell us a bit about what you're bringing.
Hello, I'm Noah Heckman. I work as a professional problem solver at Black Hills Information Security. And as part of that, my special move is the ability to Google any special move and then learn it. And if you need like credentialing on that, you can ask John how I got this job.
You Googled how to get a job at Black Hills.
Pretty much. That's pretty much my entire career has been built around.
Very nice.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. And then you found a webcast by Jason, right? Then you watched it, and then
Mr. Wade Wells.
Is Wade still here? Oh,
No, I was just waiting for dramatic pause. I'm Wade Wells. I'm a defensive person. I've read all the logs. I've worked SOCs. I've worked detection engineering. I annoyed John with threat intelligence talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd say my specialty is being able to read all the logs quickly and efficiently.
I loved how he said, I've read all the logs, and he got that stare for like a split second of a man.
Too many logs. Imagine when in the Matrix, when they see everything fall, and you can just read like red dress, pretty girl. Like that's me reading logs all day. Just flash rep all day long.
I'm going to put that to a Barry Manilow song. I am the man who makes the whole log sing.
I'm going to test your knowledge of packet headers. I am going to test your knowledge of packet
I think Barry Manilow helped write the
I said logs, not packets.
All right. Got to hear from Blake. We got to hear so we can get this entire dumpster fire on the road. Blake.
Okay, my name is Blake Regan. I work in information security. I started out in the help desk about 10 years ago and worked my way up as a systems engineer, and now working as a defensive professional doing incident response for a Fortune 1000 company. And I am glad to be here.
Nice.
We talk about coming up hard sometimes. I think coming up from IT is coming up hard in the cybersecurity
Coming up
world.
from help desk. That's where I came from. Those are road years. Those are road years.
Yeah. It also adds perspective along the way to understand how
gigs and farms and YMCAs for $5 in a hotel room.
So is your special move?
My special move
ticket
is building relationships to accomplish the mission.
Oh
wow! So it's not closed ticket.
Right.
Resolved. No response.
No. That's not how
We can all just drop off and let Blake
brings
take
a
the show
posse.
from here.
Cannot replicate. Close ticket.
Yeah,
All right.
Somebody hands him a foldable chair. Got it.
Last but certainly not least, Ashley.
Oh, okay. I am Ashley Knowles. I also rose up from the help desk, like, not really up. I don't know. It's like
The projects
a
of
very slow
cybersecurity.
line. Yeah. I have been in cybersecurity for over 10 years, started off in vulnerability management, and now I have the pleasure of working for John. And having more than 5-minute conversations with him, which is entirely frightening. Are you gonna ask me my special move, or can I just say it?
You should just say it. Just run with it if it's in your heart.
Okay. My special move is pissing off clients.
No,
Your pen tester.
Brave.
I feel like the ability to keep John on a phone call for almost
Oh
5
my
minutes.
God.
is a
That
special move in
too.
and of itself.
Too soon. We're gonna tell that story someday, Ashley.
I
We're gonna
know.
tell that story someday. Too
Wow.
soon.
That's a good special move. That's a powerful one.
All right.
John has nightmares, I'm sure, about it still.
John, John,
I'm about to
John
bring up
does
the
fire
first
people on a
question for
weekly
these
basis,
folks.
All
Why
right.
don't you go ahead and hit them with it?
For the
Uh,
first
you want me to
question, our tag team match. How it's gonna work is we're gonna let the curmudgeons hit first. Then we're gonna let the rise and grind young bucks hit back. And then we will assign a winner of the tag team match based on the responses. So question 1, what is a red team?
I think with my team, I want to lead with Jake on this question. So, Jake, you're in the ring first.
Okay, what's a red team? It is an offensive focused team that is there to make your blue team better. If you're doing red team assessments without focus on how to remediate the issues, you are doing nothing but scaring people for no reason, and you likely have them doing lots of windmills and running around, not fixing the important stuff first. So you've got to help them know how to fix, what to fix, and in what order.
I'm tapping out.
Tag me
Bring it
in, boss.
Hal.
Tag me in.
Hal, come in.
It's a bunch of offensive people who couldn't make money doing cybercrime, and I'm out.
Oh,
So that's a special move.
He slid right in under the rope just to
Ouch.
close on
All right, Joff, close us out, sir.
Oh, okay. Yes. Red team is quintessentially adversary emulation in the information security world to actually help organizations understand what their vulnerabilities are so that they can then remediate and react to such activities. Adversary emulation is acting like the bad guy. Okay, I'm out.
All right, we yield the rest of our time.
my
Hacker
curmudgeonly
Man
friends.
Savage.
Where is the anger? Where is the pain? We're not bringing it.
You
We're
got
too
to
jaded for that. Hal.
Okay, I'm gonna bring the anger. I'm gonna bring the pain. I'm gonna say red teaming is broken. And the reason why I'm saying red teaming is broken is because in the industry right now, it's very much time limited. You're there for 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes you get a month. You're going through and you're trying to emulate a bunch of attackers. People want you to emulate specific threat actors, which, Wade, we're going to get into this probably a little bit, is a bad freaking idea other than doing it for the sake of politics. And we desperately need to fix red teaming, because if we don't fix red teaming, all these damn companies that are saying that they're going to do automated red teaming, they're going to come and eat our lunch by defining red teaming as a really crappy automated pen test. So with that, Hal, is that the anger?
That's a little bit of the anger. I
All
want
right,
more.
let's kick it over to the young bucks. Here we go.
All right, great responses.
I want to start.
What young bucks? Do you have a captain you want to tag in first, or
I think Wade.
Wade's
I'm
in
going to
the-
nominate.
I'm
I'm
ready.
going to nominate Ashley because
I was going to say Ashley.
I know
Ashley, who do you want to
Ashley's
tag
the
in?
natural-
Ian gets to
natural
call
captain.
the other person in. I don't understand. It's pandemonium.
You're the young Teen Titans lead on this one.
Captain
So take
Ash,
us away.
Captain Ash.
All right, Rob.
Okay.
Lynn.
Okay, so red team is doing any means necessary to gain access to whatever is considered prized materials inside of the network. Most of the time it is stealthy, or as stealthy as possible. And I do have to unfortunately agree that red team should be done in a way that improves the blue team's side of things. So anyway, Noah, do you want to actually me?
No, but I do think that there is some important points with the to the kind of what John was saying. So I hate to agree with the other team, but it's not exactly an accurate simulation anymore, because we see slow attacks and as well as just distributed across multiple companies, going for like low hanging fruit and that kind of stuff. And it's just not necessarily an option when someone calls you and they're like, hey, I need you to come hack me. And that's not really how the attackers are doing their attacks these days. And so there's a red team is not as effective as it used to be. That's what a red team is.
Disagree.
How effective were they though, really? I mean, if it's broken.
It used to be a lot more effective. I mean, you could find these holes that were very common holes that were coming in. But now, I mean, a lot of those holes you can detect with the vulnerability scanner. Sorry, John.
So wait,
now you're looking for these chains, and you're looking for this like just misconfigurations that they're usually being done by your blue team admins. And those chains are what you really need to be looking for, but you can't just do those on command. They show up as time goes by.
So if you're watching the logs, Wade, it's a red team. What is it? What does it look like in the logs?
So I want to go fully theoretical here. I'm going to say there is no red team. Just like the spoon, there is no spoon. We're all technically blue. The red team is there, like Jake said, just to help the blue team defend, right? The red team is a subset of the blue team to help us and to help us secure and make the world a safer place.
Wade getting real controversial here. I don't know.
That's pretty good. I'm gonna use a special move there. I'm
gonna tag Blake in.
All right. Controversial take. So Blake,
with red teaming, definitely what Jake said, touching on what Joff said, and also Ashley. The purpose is to demonstrate that risk that can be present to the company and making defense better. Not for the purpose to say red team won or blue team defended, but are we validating the controls that are in place? Are there gaps in our coverage? Are you able to detect a password spray, right? You may have stopped, a tool may have stopped an exploit on a host, but if you can't see your external domain being sprayed with creds or inside the domain, then you have some other problems to look at. So I really enjoy working with red teamers. When I identify gaps, I hand them up to the red team and say, please take these and punish us. So then we can take something to the business and say, we need to fix this. We need to demonstrate that impact, and done in a collaborative manner with that chair right over the top of the head like this. That's the end of the cage match.
I'm coming in with the chair. I'm going to disagree. All right. Joff, can I borrow a folding chair, sir?
Yes, sir. You can have my folding chair.
All right. So a lot of what we've talked about here is kind of getting at the heart of why I think that red teaming is broken. Red teaming is breaking down into, these are the known misconfigurations. These are the known vulnerabilities. These are the known attack paths. These are the things that are being done right now. And if you look at a lot of nation state level attacks that are coming down the pipe, they're actually doing things that we do not have controls for. If you're talking about malvertisement, you look at NSO Group, you look at even what the NSA in the United States has, not as much capability at the NSO, which they might, but last I checked, they don't. They're attacking utilizing techniques that red teams tend not to do, being able to exploit phones, doing all of these different things. A lot of the attackers that scare the living hell out of me when we're talking about like Chinese and Russia to a lesser extent because they're busy right now, they're utilizing techniques that don't fall into the specific defense control matrix that we are seeing out there. LastPass as an attack. Oh, Jake got that one already. What was the other one? Oh, yeah. SolarWinds possibly might pop up.
Huh?
So whenever
The
we're
email
looking at
leaks.
red teaming, I believe that red teaming needs to be something that's more than just validating the existing controls, because we've seen multiple situations over the past couple of years that publicly have made the news where just validating the existing controls in and of themselves was insufficient to illuminate risk.
If I may add something else.
I would agree with that, by the way.
Tag them in.
Yeah.
Can I jump in really quick?
Blake's been hit by a
Well,
chair.
yeah.
Invisible
So,
chair
and this-
hit Blake.
This is another
I
bone
forgot.
I have to pick. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
Something I forgot to mention, though, that I'd like to throw in there is that red teaming, for it to be not as broken and to be better today, is going to require significant software development efforts for techniques that are not in these common matrices such as MITRE ATT&CK and so forth. Because what John's saying is these are custom crafted attacks that are not on the radar of the defenses. And that goes back to the true essence of red teaming, right? It's always this arms race, cat and mouse. And the custom crafted stuff that's not on the matrix is not going to be defended against.
Rock on.
Next.
All right, Ashley, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, red team, we are so focused on doing something cool and doing the next cool thing and being awesome that I think we also forget about the basics. And like Blake was saying, password spray, does the blue team detect it?
Well, and Ashley, I think that kind of gets to the assessment you were talking about, like quote unquote pissing off the customer. That's another point where red teaming is broken, right? They came in, we started with vulnerability analysis. They wanted to move into a red team, and you were going through scientifically trying to validate risk for quote unquote boring things. And they were like, well, we wanted a wizard. We wanted like exploits. It was like they wanted to skip over the boring, mundane stuff and go right to the elite stuff as quickly as possible. And we found a lot of boring, mundane stuff, such as missing patches, missing configurations that were catastrophic for that particular organization. So, I agree with that. There needs to be that balance between looking through and validating controls and also coming up with some absolutely new techniques as well. So,
well, I mean,
Can I jump?
there's a basic, level of IT maturity, right? You must be at least this tall
agree
to red team, and unfortunately, most people sort of skip that step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be like dropping into the title match with a piece of wrapping paper and some scissors or something. So Jake, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I just want to pivot over here for 1 second here, because we are talking about, and Joff brought up a fantastic point, right? Which is, and pivoting off of John as well, we have a lot of serious nation state threats that are, doing stuff that intentionally, right? Let's be really clear about this. Intentionally is not in the attack matrix, or is in the attack matrix, but our controls cover it poorly, very intentionally, right? That it's not like attack is missing this. They are looking for the holes, researching those, and then exploiting those. And then I want to cut over on the red team side and say we probably shouldn't be doing that, because there's not value for me in turning to a customer and saying, hey, let me tell you about this thing I just did that you have no controls for. Good luck with that, right?
Yeah.
When there's so much other stuff to cover.
See, that's why you should be doing cybercrime.
When are you going to be able to target a user's personal computer, pull out passwords, and pivot from there? Never. Yes. And
we can already.
This isn't just happened once. This has happened multiple times now at big organizations, and we've seen it.
Wasn't it just Wade? Wasn't it just like yesterday that LastPass said that they attacked an employee's personal computer?
And I believe Cisco was the same thing.
Yep.
Right.
All right. So
the LinkedIn breach and a bunch of others.
Hold on. I think this question is dead. I think this question has been killed with the chair. Hackerman, what do you think?
Wade came off the top rope with just a stunning move there, just saying, hey, no, listen, there is no red team. Why are we even talking about these jokers, right? So that's amazing. I love what Blake's doing over there. He's staying sly. He's trying to play all sides. I like that. Honestly, for me, it feels a lot like a draw, but I really think that those high energy rise and grind folks, they really, I think they really took it.
No, I question your impartiality.
I do too, but
well, we know the curmudgeons can take it. They've taken
I'm so
it
old and
before.
crusty. I don't care. So
rematch. Next question. Rematch.
The question is,
I'm going to break out the rubber chicken.
the question is, does Zoom end-to-end encryption actually matter?
Okay. All right.
But I have a question too.
Your next question: how do you judge the success of a red team?
Oh God.
That's what they do. But they come in, they do all their stuff, they kick down doors, they have their rules of engagement for destructive entry, whatever it is they got. How do you know
I have one
if
for
it's
this.
successful?
Let's let the youngins start it up. Noah, kick it off.
Right.
Okay, so you can judge if your red team was successful if you can get your management to approve new budget for you.
So they're all failures. Got it.
Rebuttal from
anyone else from Young Energy?
I mean, honestly, the other way is if they're a repeat customer, did they fix shit from last year?
Yeah,
I'm gonna take
exactly.
myself
Really
in
more-
and say
That's really more, is your blue team successful? Because
Not
it's
only
not on the
blue,
red
though.
team. It's not
No,
on the red
remember.
team though to fix the stuff. It's to inform it so that the blue team can fix it. So if they don't fix the stuff and you come back and have the same findings, that's not necessarily on your red team.
No. I'm not saying that this
Old
is a
folks,
test of the red
stand
team. I'm
back.
saying
Let's
that this
just
is
let
a
the young
test.
energy team fight each other on this one.
Well,
I like
actually,
the
Noah,
Well, okay.
Actually.
Ooh, I've been well actually.
the chicken's out. The red team isn't just a test of the blue team, because if it was just a test of the blue team, then it would be a purple team assessment. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about if a red team is successful, we're testing not only the blue controls, but we're also testing the IT infrastructure and their improvement in the environment. If they haven't improved, then how successful was your previous red team assessment? And now your consequential one. I don't know.
A red team is only successful if they're able to adequately show risk to upper management to then give the budget to IT to then fix things.
It's all
wait,
about
so I
the
like
Benjamin.
It's
like
all
Wade's-
about the money. As a
I like
blue
Wade's
teamer,
comment because that's how it works in an enterprise corporate. That's how it traditionally does. It doesn't mean it has to continue. But I think also one of a factor to measure success should be looking at the quality of the report that's provided. Here's this problem that we found, here's some artifacts, here's a recommended solution.
All right.
And be able to provide that risk and that fix and do it that way to be able to educate. This is what we saw. This is how we can fix it. And then rank that as far as a criticality. That's what I've seen. And I enjoy.
I'm going to jump in for the old folks, and I'm going to take a long view on this. Okay. The long view on this, how you know red teaming is successful at a global level is our life getting more difficult breaking into places? And unequivocally, I will say that our life is getting more difficult. When we're trying to do pen tests, we're doing red teams, trying to break into organizations. I got to be honest, blue teamers, like y'all are getting good, and it's making our lives difficult. And that sucks. But at the exact same time, I gauge that as success, because we are seeing globally, most of our customers are way more difficult to break into now than they were even 5 years ago. So there is success there. I do want to push back on the issue of budget and if you get money, because if it was an issue of just budget and money, then red teaming is absolutely worthless compared to a company actually getting hacked. Because if you look at the money being released, if they're actually compromised, the money flows like wine. You look at a red team, and we've seen, Ashley brought up something where we've seen companies that we've tested them 2-3 years in a row and they haven't fixed anything. So I think it's difficult to tie it back into budget, but I do also kind of agree with Blake. You got to move the needle on the blue team somehow. And that ultimately boils down, I think, in red teaming isn't a technical exercise. It's really a psychological exercise to get people to change their behaviors. So,
right. The red team is successful if you're in the blue team's head the other 364 days of the year when the pen test isn't going on.
Damn, hell.
Literally nothing to add beyond that, because everything that we add beyond that, like, is actually going to hurt the discussion.
I think
Nailed
old people, we just step back. Hal closed it. I'm done.
Well done. Yeah.
All right, Hacker Man. I think the curmudgeons came in there with the table from 10 feet up.
Mainly from Hal.
What do you think? Do you think they took it on that one?
Listen, I've been doing this thing for a long time. You know, I wrestled for the ARPANET championship belt back in the day, and I have never, ever seen a tag team tear themselves apart in the beginning. I mean, the curmudgeons just came in and they utilized that weakness. You gotta stick together in that tag team match. When you talk about what we're gonna do in the red team, I couldn't believe it. It was something I've never seen before. So yeah, I think the cyber curmudgeons really took this round. Gene, I'm going to pull up the next question. Why don't you bring it to these folks?
Question number 3. Should the SOC be informed of a red team or not? I'll let, since the...
I think we'll let the youngins do this one.
Since the cyber curmudgeons used this tactic last time, we'll let the young energy take it this time. What do you think? Should the SOC be informed? Should you tell them ahead of time?
I think one person should be, like a higher level management person, but that's it.
Define SOC.
Defenders.
So yeah, I think we have to define terms in order to make this a proper debate. But
there is no red team. Well,
they're all the SOC. No, no, I agree with Ashley. Right, like of course, someone should know right before we hit the red. Call in the IR retainer flag. But there is immense value in not knowing when you're going to get hit by that red team, and to be kind of looking over your shoulder as a blue teamer constantly. And one of the biggest achievements I will say that I've ever felt is when you catch that red team. That is such a great feeling, gives you such that boost of confidence because you've been that guard dog watching the fence all the time, and someone finally tried to get over the fence and you just kicked them out.
Yeah. And, going back to what I originally said, someone at least high up needs to know, because you want your lower level folks to follow processes and procedures that are in place. You want to make sure that those procedures and processes are working, but you also don't want to sound 911 alarms inside of the company.
Absolutely. And, sometimes having that person, the right contact level. So when it escalates to a certain point, they can, communicate with the red team. Hey, they saw this. Hey, and also confirm that you don't have to set your hair on fire and start calling in response retainers and things like that. But the reality is, do most organizations detect this? Are they going to catch this activity? That's the other thing to consider, right? And validating, do we have detection capabilities to look at behaviors? So there's definitely value in that surprise. There's also value in doing ones that are coordinated. Like talk about purple teaming. That's another option as well.
Yeah, and I do think that there is a responsibility on the red team as well to be in constant communication with the point of contact, to be like, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z, so that they can correlate back. Or if there is no constant communication, a log of all of the attacks and the timestamps and what machine was attacked, what machine the attack came from. All of that stuff should be in a timeline so that they can correlate if they did not detect.
There's some pretty agreeable responses this time from the Young Energy. There was no major disagreements.
So I'm gonna
go ahead.
I've got disagreements.
I want to throw out something just to think about, because I don't think that this is clean cut, right? I don't think that this is easy. And the reason why I don't think that this is easy is if we let the blue team know, does it truly mean it's a red team? I think that's a valid question. The other thing is, if you're running a red team company, and I'm throwing that, I want to get Joff's opinion on this. If the red team is using very, very, very customized malware, there's a very strong possibility that blue team is going to burn the crap out of your malware. Now, I understand blue teamers are like, sucks to be you. That costs money, and that drives up the cost of a red team. It's awesome. Like whenever a blue team catches the malware and they reverse engineer it, that's great. But once again, that costs money. And then people are like, well, red teams are really expensive. So this also kind of fits into the, like, maybe the way that we're doing this isn't the best way that we could be doing this. Maybe we could be better, and I don't have an answer for it. But I'm going to throw it over to the rest of the old folks here.
They're just uploading it to Virus Total anyway.
Yeah. So I want to make
for that.
I'm going to make a comment on burning malware because that's a real issue. But I divide that issue into two pieces. One is static analysis, which is your typical Virus Total kind of upload and drop a hash on the piece of malware. I've solved that issue. I don't generate malware that has the same hash every time, and probably no other threat actor does. So static analysis is something that's kind of dead, in my opinion, from an advanced threat actor perspective. Behavioral analysis is really where it's at, right? What's that thing doing in memory? What's being moved around from the heap back to the stack? What's being threads are being created? What processes are being manipulated, and so forth. And I think that is where, when we talk about the playing field being evened over time, the sophistication of the tools that are detecting kind of in-memory activities on the endpoints has become so much better that what we see in the industry as we're red teaming is what tends to come out is kind of a split between the sophistication of the software versus the person looking at the alerts. And one of the strange things or side effects that tends to occur is the software will often give false positives, but it gives them something. And they'll come back to us and say, hey, you did a SMB scan of the network when what you were actually doing was something that had SMB protocol in it, but wasn't an SMB scan of the network, for example, right? So we see a lot of that. But when we've got more sophisticated individuals driving the blue team side, they know how to read through those false positives and to put the bigger picture together and go, no, you were attacking this and using this sort of technique. So, there's a lot in that. The sophistication of the malware required to do red teaming right is at a much higher level today than it used to be. It used to be, if you went back a decade, you could rip out your Metasploit, throw it out there on a network, and have a binary artifact run every single time, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Those days,
Especially if you're running
gone.
against Symantec.
Yeah.
Whoa, no vendor
Ouch.
bashing.
And
That's
still,
what we got.
Webcast
if you're
brought to you
running
by
against
Broadcom.
Symantec.
Vendor bashing is a
We've
technical
gotta
foul.
tell that. We've gotta
Tag team.
That's not a technical. Come on.
Get out. No vendor
Yep.
bashing, okay? The
No,
list is too long.
Why are we here?
I believe it's
If
called
you start
Broadcom
vendor
now.
bashing,
Put 'em in the box.
There was-
it's gonna
okay,
be a
I'm
long
going to the
list
box.
of.
I'm going to the box.
All right. Anything else from the curmudgeons on the topic of should the SOC be informed? Anything on that?
The answer there is a lot of it depends, but it depends a lot on scope. And one of the big questions comes back to its cost, right? The reality is everything Joff said about the malware dev. John, I know you've dealt with, and I've dealt with folks coming in and say, I want you to emulate threat actor, whatever, right? And do just like they would. And I want it for $5,000. And we're like, yeah, no, that's no. And so, a lot depends on how much custom tooling for this gig I'm bringing. Because if I had to write the tooling for you, I could care less what you do with those tools. I've absorbed the cost for you, right? It's specific adversarial emulation. If it's generic threat emulation, I care a lot more because, again, about that whole reporting chain, right? But something else I want to note here is that, one of the things that we're testing is the overall process, and consistently the overall security process, and consistently when the lower levels, of SOC management, right? Whether that's the SOC manager themselves or, sometimes even shift leaders get notified. It's not an assessment anymore. You're not testing the escalation process. You're not testing the full response. So I generally gravitate to no, with the little financial caveat there.
So Jake, I love that because occasionally, people reach out to the hacker man and they're like, we want you to come out and do an appearance. We got a box of Slim Jims and we're going to pick you up in an 88 Cadillac. And I say, no, we can't have a hacker man appearance for that kind of coin. So what you're saying about the red team totally makes sense. I think we need to roll into that next question. What do you think, Meme Gene?
I think we're good. Do you want to assign a victor for this round?
Oh, I'm calling this one a tie. I mean, I saw, the teams are starting to gel. They're really starting to understand what they're doing. Like, I think this round is a draw. What do you think, Gene?
I think it was a battle. It was a battle for the ages. We got through some good
Let me
material.
add one more thing. If you tell
Oh.
me and I'm on the blue team, I'm going to cheat. So that's all I got to say.
We should definitely.
It's not a fair fight.
The Young Bucks should have won because this is a time-based. The curmudgeons over here are giving us the whole briefing, and all we want is the executive summary.
No.
That's he's got a
Trash
point there.
talking.
There is no
It's like-
red team.
It's like everyone was going to their corner and we just got up on the top rope and threw an elbow across the ring. Like, where was the ref?
The
Nobody
people's
knew.
elbow coming in from there is no red team. All right.
you
So
smell-
question number 4. What is the worst thing that can happen during a red team?
Yeah,
And
we
John,
had
I
this.
guess
we had this.
If you
We had this
want to
red
start with
team.
your story.
I
We
got
had
this one,
red team
boss.
coming up where unfortunately we had to let Ashley and Noah go. It was no, their eyes got real big.
All right. All right. We'll let the
Joking. All right.
No
So-
one will be fired as a result of the Zoom today. So yeah, Al, do you want to take it?
Cool.
I got
We have
this one.
immunity. Is that what you're
Okay.
saying?
This is not the worst thing that ever happened, but I wanted to tell the story of Symantec at DerbyCon. So a long time ago in a galaxy far away. And this is kind of setting up. We have some people, I think, from Binary coming up here, or the Dave Kennedy side of the house and Trusted Set coming up in a bit. So we were across the hall from Symantec, and the Symantec sales rep very loudly, multiple times, was ripping on people at the conference. Like basically, our endpoint, whatever it was, SEP version 10, whatever, will be able to detect anything any of these hackers can throw at it. There's no way anybody can bypass it. So Joff working with, we had some people from Inguardians. We basically came up with a bypass. It took us, I think, 5 minutes. And we bypassed Symantec, went out and bought the biggest monitor that we could find, and we put it on a loop of how to bypass Symantec's endpoint 10, just looping around constantly. It was just like going through and showing how it was done. Now, the funny thing about that is the next year that we went to DerbyCon, we were on opposite ends of the conference after that happened. The point is, once again, you should never get too cocky as a blue teamer. And I also believe you shouldn't get too cocky as a red teamer as well. So that's not the worst thing that's happened. But we can talk.
You never
about
know
worse
who you're dropping into the ring with these days.
Never know who you're dropping in. And like, don't go to a hacker con and rip on hackers is probably the thing you should learn there. All right.
You
I'm
should-
passing this
So
over.
Hal,
You
Hal,
should
what's
have
the
seen
worst
John
thing?
setting that up. He goes, right, this is what we're going to do.
This is what we're going to
Faces
do.
right at him.
And yeah.
Worst thing
10
that
feet away.
can happen on a red team engagement is that the red team realizes that there's an actual threat actor persistent in the network long before they got there.
This would have been my exact answer, so I'm just going to give you the old virtual high five there.
Yep.
repeatedly.
Yep.
Been there, done that. Not a fun day.
No.
When you find that there are multiple threat actors on the
Yeah,
same
right.
machine,
When you
they
go
got
and
it
like
exactly
it
the
turns out
same
like a
way.
whole
How about
game breaks out.
when
yeah.
You get
When
a
you
greeting
don't
from
get
them,
in-
like hello, welcome.
when you
from
don't
everyone
get
else
in,
here.
after you're done with the assessment, the customer calls you and says, "We've been breached for months." They managed to get in and you didn't. Oof.
Oh,
John stole mine.
All right. Any other answers from the cyber curmudgeons before we hand it over to Young Energy?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll throw one
I
out.
will. I want to throw one point out, and that is when you compromised a host and then you discover that they outsourced part of their organization and you're in somebody else's network.
Ooh.
Wait a minute. You were there.
It's happened.
So I found evidence. I was testing a publicly traded company and found evidence that they were in acquisition discussions as the target and thought that that was widely understood at the executive table as we did the outbrief, and it was not. Yeah, that yes, John's laughing. There we go. That
Oh man.
There's more to this story, and he tells it really well. Get him in a bar, buy him a beer, and have him tell you the story.
many lawyers were involved.
It's great.
Deadwood, here we come.
Yeah, he had
All
to
right,
sign a lot of
those are
documentation.
some pretty good answers. It sounds like some things have gone wrong during the cyber curmudgeons' careers. So what's coming in from the Young Energy side? What has gone wrong for you?
I have not experienced this myself, but I have heard of instances where a customer gives someone who's about to do a test the wrong IP range, and they validate, and they yes, these are the right ones. Yes, these are the right ones. And then they start doing scanning and start, interacting with these hosts. And now it becomes, they find out that it's, the ASN number, autonomous system number, was assigned a wrong subnet. And now they're engaging with a company that they don't have the authorization to test. And that would be a bad day for blue team and red team and many lawyers involved.
If you do it well, it gets you more customers, though.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it.
That's the John Strand guarantee.
So I wanna put this in the picture. What's the worst thing that can happen in a red team for a red team? Right.
Okay.
So just because being on the blue team, right? Like it gives me you curmudgeons definitely have more experience than me. And I don't have these awesome stories about people, but that when you throw a canary at the red team, they take it, open it up on their desktop, you get their geolocation, and you send them a pizza during the engagement.
You didn't. You didn't. That is
pretty good.
awesome.
That would be the worst day in that red teamer's career right there.
Yeah.
Oh my
Is it
god.
though? Because the hacker man, he's sitting there, he's getting his
then you- no.
pizza shows up. That sounds pretty good.
Then
I
you
said the hacker man.
then you OSINT them and you find out their Twitter login, their handles, and then you use that in order to enumerate your network and find other stuff because their OPSEC wasn't the best.
Send
that
a
was-
pack of Slim
This
Jims.
is the sign for the canary move.
Oh, yeah.
Wade
The
does
canary.
this.
The canary.
I love it, Blake. We've got now Canary now has hand moves.
I think Wade's signature move is definitely the canary.
There we go.
All right,
I
anyone
have
else
to-
in Young Energy?
Yeah, so I have to talk about something that actually happened to me is when a tool goes rogue, right? And you have a trusted tool that you've used numerous times that goes rogue in a client's environment and acts in a way it never has before, and you accidentally lock out almost the entire infrastructure. And then the company finds out that they have no way to mass unlock all these accounts.
Sounds like a pretty bad day.
Sounds very
Bad.
specific.
Sounds like they just needed to know some PowerShell commands, but
Are you changing your special move to mass lockouts?
This was weird because in this particular
It's
tool,
still pissing off the
I think this is
customer.
it. The tool, usually whenever you do one failed login attempt, it registers as one failed login attempt. And in this particular environment, they had something configured for each failed login attempt. It triggered 5. Like
That was the one.
Ouch.
it was
Nice.
bad. But they handled it well. Ashley handled it well. They were like, I guess we found another vulnerability. We got to work this out. Like, yeah. So
The hacker
We're glad you're not suing us.
Yeah, the hacker man was
Yeah.
at a company where we had something similar happen there, where we went to do a scan, right? We were coming through, we were doing our moves, we got ourselves all set up, right? We got that scan going, and we didn't realize that the developers, they had their Java debug logs on, and every time we hit these servers, the response we got back was a 1.2 megabyte log file that almost instantly filled up all the drives on the sim as it went through and tried to ingest all those logs in the queue from an entire enterprise organization. This was not a good day.
Yeah, you DC sync and you forget about the fact that when you DC sync, it saves a copy and then your domain controller fills up and crashes. That's also fun.
I did have one time, and this is kind of a little bit of a spin-off on Wade's, but I had just taken one of John's active deception classes, which we host at Antisyphon, by the way. And he'd talked about Cowrie, and I had found like a newer version of Cowrie and installed it on a server. And I actually caught a pen tester in Cowrie, which is like an SSH black hole, basically.
it's so awesome.
I had all their commands, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're running these commands on your Unix servers." And I'm like, "Oh, you mean these commands?" And I sent them the output.
I remember we had one test where this is Sally, and Sally was testing, and she had this like feeling that they were monitoring everything she was doing on the jump post that they gave her on the inside. And because they knew everything that she was doing, and she was like getting stopped instantly on stuff like shutting down processes and services. So in the middle of the engagement, she opens up Notepad and types into Notepad, "Blue team, are you watching what I'm doing?" And sure enough, they took control and came back and they said, "Yes, he. So they were literally screen viewing what Sally was doing in real time on that system. So that was
John, I have a very funny quick story. We were on an internal assessment and we gained control of a server. And someone happened to walk into that server room and there was a monitor on with like a command prompt up on the screen, and they saw what we were doing. And the person who was doing the testing, I was shadowing them at the time. The person who was doing the testing was had all these typos in their commands, and they're like, "Why isn't it running?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." So they come back at the client, and the client says, "Yeah, we saw that. And, we saw everything that was happening." And so I couldn't help but tease, the person who I was shadowing at the time, that they saw as typo every single command. They're probably like, "Oh God,
I hate that." Yeah, like you're typing, you mistype, like you're in a Linux terminal and type dir or something else like that. I do that live when I'm teaching, and people are like, "Yeah."
I know we added it to Linux for you, John, so you didn't look like a total idiot.
Thanks, Hal.
Yeah, good old
like trying to get
been known-
NTDS util syntax correct while you're live testing. It's like, oh God, I hate this.
Exactly.
Yeah, Meme Gene's been known to do some red teaming in his day, and from his perspective, the worst possible thing that can happen during a red team, if you paid for one, is nothing. So, just gonna drop that in there. Who do you think had this round, Hacker Man?
Here's the thing, right? I loved everything that was said, but when Wade came across with the pizza,
Wade's energy is truly inspiring. The canary.
Yeah. I mean, the canary came off the top rope with a whole thing of Papa John's. It was just like, bam. I don't know how.
Better ingredients, better security.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to do here, what we want to do is give these folks an opportunity for a final thought before we give them our judgment on their performance. So let's go around in as much reverse order as we can. Ashley, any final thoughts you want to leave folks with?
Don't live in a glass house.
Don't live in a glass house. Wear pants if you do. Got it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Let's go over to Blake.
Remain teachable.
Love it. I'm loving these answers. All right, let's go over to Noah.
Always be learning.
Oh, we're going full Glengarry Glen Ross. Love it. Down to Wade.
So you're in the network. You're in my domain.
Ooh.
Wade's going, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me, brother.
Watch
I know this-
reference.
I know this network like the back of my hand.
We got 3 minutes of playtime.
Bone saw is ready. All right, let's go over to these curmudgeons, right? Hal, what do you got?
Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Very philosophical. I love it. All right, let's go to Joff.
I think I've forgotten more than I've learned.
Yeah. Ditto.
You should see a doctor. All right, going over. Jake.
You want to be better at red, learn blue. And if you want to be better at blue, and I mean really better at blue, learn red.
Yeah, no, you can't send pizzas to folks if you don't do it that way. So yeah, absolutely. And let's wrap it up here with Mr. Strand.
Break everything. We can't build future IT infrastructures on sand. We need to break everything because things only get stronger when they break.
Awesome. Meme Gene, what are you thinking?
I don't know. This is a tough one. I think Wade's energy was just inspiring to me. The fact that he dropped in off the top rope, given rebuttals, given interesting takes and opinions, saying there is no red team, invalidating the entire panel. I mean, I think that energy speaks to the tag team match to me.
I love it. So I think I'm going to end it with this. This is what the Hacker Man wants you to take away from this. I think it's a tie. I think not only is it a tie, but you are all winners. The reason you're winners is because you're here sharing your knowledge. You're going through, and these 476 hackamaniacs that are online, they got to learn from all of you about how to come off the top rope with pizzas, about how to get into an environment and what can go wrong. And when we learn from each other and we make ourselves better, we go out and we make that world more secure, my little hackamaniacs. So that is my final word. I think you're all winners.
Thanks for watching. Achieve your next level of skills with training courses at antisyphontraining.com.